Straight ahead on NewsWatch, hundreds of thousands of emails discovered. We'll update you on the latest as the FBI reopens its investigation of Hillary Clinton's private email server. Plus, criminalizing Christianity. Christian business owners across the country being told they can't live out their faith. And a new discovery links the Jewish people to the land of Israel, why a small piece of papyrus could affect the fight for Jerusalem. And welcome to CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. A law enforcement official says the FBI has obtained a search warrant to start reviewing newly discovered emails that may be tied to the Hillary Clinton email investigation. The news is shaking up the presidential campaign, with the Clinton team launching into full damage control mode over the weekend. Dale Hurd has the story.
Hillary Clinton was on the campaign trail trying to take the focus off herself and put it on the FBI.
It's pretty strange to put something like that out with such little information right before an election. In fact, it's not just strange, it's unprecedented, and it is deeply troubling.
The Wall Street Journal reports 650,000 emails were discovered on the laptop of disgraced former Congressman Anthony Weiner, the estranged husband of Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin. Weiner is under criminal investigation for allegedly sexting a teen. And metadata on some of the emails suggests thousands of those messages could have been sent to or from the private server of Hillary Clinton. Comey says the emails should be looked at to figure out if they contain any classified information relevant to the Clinton email probe.
You know, we commend the FBI for reopening this case and having the courage to stand up for the principle. Because no one is above the law in the United States of America.
But Clinton campaign chair John Podesta on CNN was attacking FBI Director Comey.
To throw this in the middle of the campaign, 11 days out, just seemed to break with precedent and be inappropriate at this stage.
According to multiple reports, many agents in the FBI were unhappy with Comey's original handling of the Clinton email investigation, not to recommend charges against her. But no one knows how this latest revelation will ultimately affect her. Donald Trump called it the biggest scandal since Watergate.
We never thought we were going to say thank you to Anthony Weiner.
The reopened FBI investigation is sure to impact a race that has already tightened. The latest polls show Trump has made it a virtual dead heat. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
More than 3,000 people have been forced from their homes after another massive earthquake struck central and southern Italy Sunday. The 6.6 magnitude quake is believed to be one of the strongest to hit the country in more than 3 decades. So far, there are no reports of death or serious injury, but many historic buildings and churches are damaged. The worst damage was reported in Norcia, a town in Umbria closest to the epicenter. This marks the third powerful earthquake to hit Italy in just 2 months. A church service has been held in the newly liberated Iraqi town of Karakosh for the first time since it was taken over by the Islamic State. It is the biggest Christian town on the Nineveh Plains in northern Iraq. It was overtaken by the Islamic State in 2014 and was recaptured last week by Iraqi government forces during their ongoing operation to take back Mosul. Many of the people from the Nineveh Plains live in displaced people's camps in Iraq's Kurdish north, while others have immigrated to the west. The UN says tens of thousands of people are being used as human shields by the Islamic State during the battle for Mosul. More than 200 people have been forced from their homes and killed for refusing to comply with the Islamic State terrorists. Iraqi forces have retaken 40 villages from the Islamic State near Mosul since the operation began. The U.S. military is helping by providing airstrikes and ground support. The UN and human rights groups fear more than 200,000 civilians could be displaced. It is expected to take weeks, if not months, to drive the terrorist group from its last urban stronghold in Iraq. Imagine you're running a business, living your faith, then your state says you're breaking the law. It is happening to Christians throughout the land, and they're coming together to fight this persecution. Paul Strand brings us the story.
None of these folks thought living their beliefs through their business would make them criminals in the eyes of the law. And these Christians are spreading the word of how an aggressive gay rights agenda can threaten livelihood, savings, and even freedom.
As more and more cases like those involving these panelists happen, Christians all across the country have to ask themselves, do we all need to worry?
Spokane, Florida's Barronelle Stutzman faces losing everything. Washington State is trying to take all her assets because she refused to do the flowers for a longtime customer and friend's same-sex wedding.
Whether you're Christian or not, you have to be very much aware that the government is coming in trying to tell you what to think, what to do, how to act, what to believe, what to create. That is not a free America. When they can come in and bully you into an agenda, we do not have a constitution.
At this Washington, D.C. gathering, Stutzman was asked why she wouldn't take a settlement offered by Washington State.
I wasn't offered a settlement. I was offered an ultimatum. Either you will do as I tell you to do, you will think the way I think, you will perform the way I think you should perform and create. And if you don't, I'm going to destroy you.
Kentucky has taken T-shirt printer Blaine Adamson to court for his refusing to print T-shirts for a pro-gay and lesbian festival.
So here's one more case like dozens of others across the country now, where a Christian business owner was treated as if he's doing wrong when he says all he's doing is backing up his beliefs.
He thinks all Americans need to be concerned.
I don't believe it's just Christians, but again, non-Christians, because our civil liberties travel together. And if the government forces me to speak a message, that's a scary thing, because as administrations change, as policies change, that same force could apply to someone who thinks totally different than me.
Kelvin Cochran lost his job as Atlanta's fire chief after defending the biblical model of marriage in a private book written for a church men's group.
Regretfully, we're seeing a trend to where if you openly live out your faith, it could actually cost you your career or your business.
These owners of a Phoenix art studio are fighting a new city ordinance that could jail them if they ever refuse to do art or calligraphy for a same-sex wedding, or even publicize why they wouldn't. Their lead attorney, John Scruggs.
And it's very scary when the government has the power to tell a business or really anyone, you can post this statement on your website, on the internet, you can't post that statement.
Carrie Kupek represents Colorado baker Jack Phillips, found guilty by the state Civil Rights Commission for refusing to bake a cake for a gay wedding.
And they compare Jack to perpetrators of the Holocaust and slave owners. This was extra upsetting because Jack's father had fought in World War II and was part of the D-Day invasion.
Jesus has promised us that this kind of thing would happen at some point. So I think it's just a reality that as our culture changes and we hold to the truths of God, that we're going to face this kind of thing.
We no longer live in a free marketplace of ideas. We live in a society where the government can tell us what to say and believe. So that should be concerning for not just people of faith, of all faiths, but people of all beliefs.
But all these Christians say in this decaying culture, it's important to make stands like they have.
Jesus specifically said, if you deny me publicly, I'll deny you before my Father in heaven. So when we have to make a choice according to the way I was raised, when you got to make a choice between your faith and your job, you choose your faith.
Paul Strand, CBN News.
Before he leaves office, President Obama is leaving his mark behind with more new federal regulations. They're called midnight regulations when a president slips them through at the last minute before he leaves office. And Republicans in Congress are unable to stop them. One research fellow at the Heritage Foundation tells Roll Call President Obama has been in a different league in terms of heavy regulations, and leading Senate Republicans say he's trying to do by regulation what he can't do through legislation from Congress. Senator John Cornyn of Texas says his constituents are complaining about strangling rules from the EPA, Labor Department, and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The U.S. Supreme Court will weigh in on a transgender bathroom case for the first time. The case involves a Virginia school board that wants to prevent a transgender teenager from using the boys' bathroom. Gavin Grimm is a 17-year-old high school senior who was born female but identifies as a male. The justices said they will hear Grimm's case next year. The court could use the case to resolve similar transgender bathroom disputes across the country. It turned into a nationwide battle after the Obama administration issued a mandate forcing all public schools to allow students to use restrooms based on their gender preference. Coming up, the new discovery that shows the Jewish connection to Jerusalem is clear, and how it contradicts the latest anti-Israel move by the United Nations. A new discovery at the site many say is the empty tomb of Jesus. A restoration team working at Jerusalem's Church of the Holy Sepulchre say they rediscovered the original cave that some historians believe was Jesus' tomb. Many thought the cave was destroyed ages ago, but an archaeologist says ground-penetrating radar tests proved different. The test showed the cave walls are still standing behind the marble panels of the chamber, and workers at the site have revealed something else unexpected: another marble slab. It is gray and features a small etching of a cross that is believed to be from the 12th century. The work is part of a renovation project to preserve the chamber holding the cave where Jesus was resurrected. On the same day, UNESCO basically denied any Jewish connection to the Temple Mount. A newly discovered piece of history was revealed in Israel, and it links the Jewish people to Jerusalem as far back as 2,700 years ago. Chris Mitchell brings us this story.
The small papyrus document contains the earliest mention of Jerusalem ever found outside of the Bible.
Prior to this, there were only 2 other papyrus written in Hebrew found from this period at all. And perhaps the greater significance is that for the first time we have in Hebrew the name Jerusalem.
Both the style of the script and the carbon-14 analysis dated the artifact back to the first Jewish temple period in the 7th century BC. It says, "From the king's maidservant, from Na'arat, jars of wine, to Jerusalem."
The document is a shipment certificate from a place called Na'aran. We mention that 2 jars of wine are going to be shipped from Na'aran to Jerusalem.
A unit from the Israel Antiquities Authority seized the fragment from Palestinian looters excavating without a license.
We understood that we have something very, very important in our hand. We read it and we understood its value.
Eitan Klein said they had taken it from the same area where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found decades ago.
Until today, only in the Judean desert have scrolls been found, because the conditions in the Judean desert are probably the best for this organic material.
Curator Panina Shore says it's not that other writings didn't exist, but these survived because of the dry climate.
This particular papyrus is actually a miracle, because here we're talking about a papyrus from First Temple times.
Scroll researcher Oren Abelman says the Jewish connection to Jerusalem is clear.
This is a period that we know from various historical accounts, both from the Bible and from external sources, that there was the kingdom of Judea at this period.
In addition to the Jerusalem connection, Shore says if the reading is correct, there's also a new understanding of the role of women.
And if it's Amat HaMelech, that's the slave, the woman officer or slave of the king. So not only are we talking about Jerusalem, we're also talking about women who are in high office.
As for the UNESCO vote, experts agreed it wasn't based on facts.
It's a political decision. It has nothing to do with reality.
It has no meaning whatsoever for archaeologists or historians.
I'm an archaeologist. I just explained in length all the reasons why this papyrus is so very important and why it is dated to the First Temple times.
Abelman said it's not only an important find for Jewish history, but also for development of the world. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Up next, help for Haiti's forgotten hurricane victims. Our George Thomas speaks with one man who hasn't given up on 1 million starving people.
2 weeks after Hurricane Matthew, the situation in some parts of Haiti is grave. More than 1 million people in one of the most remote areas are lacking food, water, and medical care. One person trying to elevate the situation there is businessman Gary Haven. He's the founder of Curves International and has spent the past several years helping Haiti. Since the hurricane, he's been flying food and medicines into remote areas and flying sick people out of the situation. Gary, tell us where you're working and what the conditions are there like.
Well, I'm contacting you from the capital, Port-au-Prince, here at the airport, where we have 3 of our aircraft bases. And there's a peninsula that extends out west from this area of Haiti. It's about 120 miles long, about 15 miles wide. is populated by 1.4 million people, and it took a direct hit from Hurricane Matthew. And so what you've got is most of 1 million people out on this peninsula that 90% of them have no roofs on their home. They lost their possessions, their food that was ruined, their fruit trees, their crops that they had in the ground. And these were fairly self-sufficient people now who have nothing. And we've moved from this disaster to what I see coming is a famine. And so our operation is out there in the worst of the worst areas where people are getting no food, no medical care, no evac of patients. I just got a call a minute ago. Can I bring out a woman who was shot with a 12-gauge shotgun? And it's getting late today. So we're out in the western part of the peninsula in the worst hit areas, George.
Talk about your efforts to help these people, Gary.
You know, I got involved back, by the way, it's been 5.5 years since the earthquake. Time goes by fast. And there's a wonderful organization here called FEHRA, F-E-H-R-A. Get it right. And Haitian doctor operates it. She, with our help, has been feeding thousands of children every day for all of those years. So it's just a natural thing for us to step up when this tragic event. By the way, George, I'm calling this the hidden Holocaust because the mainstream media is not down here telling people about what's going on. So most Americans don't understand that there's 1 million Haitians at risk for starvation right now.
And who is paying for all this?
Well, I'm using my own money and my own aircraft, my own time. You know, it's what we do as Christians. To whom much has been given, much is expected. So it's a great privilege for me to be, air flighting these little preemie babies or little boys that have broken their back. I mean, I'm providing a service that no one else is able to do because the air evac helicopters can't get to the end of the peninsula. So it kind of worked out. I'm the only game in town. Now, there's a lot of help here. The UN and the World Food Program is helicoptering food into a lot of areas, and they're doing their part. Unfortunately, the U.S. military is long gone. Most of the support from international organizations are gone now, and yet the crisis is just beginning. They have less food today than they did 3 weeks ago. And by the way, this is my 17th day here.
What's the most important thing that's needed right now?
Well, most important thing I think is awareness. This is being hidden right now. We've got to get the word out that there's 1 million people in our hemisphere whose lives are at risk. I fly over the areas every day. People are going to be watching the video that was filmed here, and they're going to be able to see. It looks like Hiroshima. And this is the rainy season, and they have no roofs anymore. Their crops are gone. I think awareness is the most important thing. It's going to be really easy to forget these people. And if people can get on the social network and share this story and tell the friends about it, I think that help will continue to come to these people that are in need, these precious people. George, every day I'm holding little babies in my arm, knowing that I'm the only one that got food to their area. And if people that work with us to get behind it can help us to keep that help coming. So we appreciate 700 Club and Operation Blessing and all that you guys do to raise awareness and to actually meet needs out there.
Okay, terrific. Gary, thank you so much for all the work you are doing. Gary Haven, thanks for joining us on the broadcast.
Operation Blessing has been helping Americans recover from Hurricane Matthew, and it did the same in Haiti as well, in partnership with the government of the Cayman Islands. Operation Blessing has been working with that government during the past 14 years after hurricane disasters. After Matthew, organizers contacted OB to get donations to help hurricane victims in Haiti. Operation Blessing delivered 7.5 tons of supplies that included emergency food, baby supplies, medicine, and other items donated by the people in the Cayman Islands. 8 Haitian children and 10 adults were also able to fly home to receive free heart surgery. Thanks to Operation Blessing, 40,000 more pounds of relief is currently on its way to Haiti. You can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to its website. It is ob.org. Well, it's time now for your Monday Motivation, and this is a message I hope will jumpstart your week. Consider this: the best step to getting the support you need is by being that support to someone else. Bottom line is the law of sowing and reaping. You will reap what you sow, or you will get what you give. Make this a marvelous Monday. That is going to do it now for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear what you think about the stories you've seen here today. Remember, you can always do that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make this a marvelous Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.